Hi everybody, it's Miss Mary again with another fun MidPointe Maker. I thought today we could look at the work of Alexander Calder. Have you ever heard of him? Well, I'll tell you what, his work is pretty cool. First, let me say my introduction part that I am not a professional artist. I don't have formal art training or education, but I really have fun making things. So we're going to look at a famous work of art and see if we can make something ourselves using that same technique. Technique. Do you remember what that word means? It's a great big word that means way. The way an artist makes their art is called their technique. So if you like to eat spaghetti by twirling it around your fork, then twirling is your spaghetti technique. Make sense? Let's go. Today we're going to talk about Alexander Calder. He was born a little over 100 years ago, maybe 130 years ago, something like that. But this work of art that we're looking at, he made 75 years ago. Okay, this was done by Alexander Calder. This one is not a painting, though. It's a mobile. A mobile is a kind of balanced sculpture that hangs from the ceiling and it moves in the wind. Some mobiles have motors to make them move. This mobile is called 20 Leaves and an Apple. The whole thing hangs from a string right here, and then there's a wire here with a hook at each end. And from this hook hangs another wire that holds this piece here, and another hook with another wire. And it keeps going and going and going. There are even more hooks and pieces over here too, and wires and leaves. And remember, this entire mobile hangs from this one string up here. And because each piece hangs from the wire above it, each piece can move on its own. So how did Alexander figure this out? How did he figure out how to make this? Well, when he was a kid, he wanted to be an artist, but his parents did not like that idea. So Alexander went to college and he learned mechanical engineering, which is the study of how and why things move. He also liked to spend time outdoors enjoying nature. At the time that Alexander was making his art, most artists were making art that didn't look exactly like a particular thing, but instead reminded you of that thing. Can you guess why Alexander Calder called this 20 Leaves and an Apple? That's right. There are 20 of these dark shapes, leaves, and one red round shape. That's the apple. Notice how there are a bunch of small leaves over here and some really large ones on this side. That's so the mobile stays balanced well. Today, we're going to make our own mobiles in the style of Alexander Calder. For this project, you will need these materials. You'll need some sticks, different sizes, different lengths. These are kind of the same, but they're sticks so I can break them. And, be sure to look at the nature while you're out there collecting them. If you want to make this project and it's a rainy day and you don't want to go outside and collect sticks, if you have some sticks hanging around the house, you can use those too. But I'll tell you, I've practiced this, and with smooth sticks, it's really difficult. So for our exercise today, we're going to use these sticks that came from the tree in my front yard. Okay? You're also going to want to use some wire or some string, right? Because we need to hang each piece. String works well, and I have some of that. But I'll tell you what, wire works great because you can kind of bend it around and shape things better. Do you have wire in your house? You might. If you don't have wire, you might have pipe cleaners or chenille stems, whatever we call them. So I've got some of those as well. You will need to have some paper to make your shapes out of. Cardstock, heavy paper works best, or lightweight cardboard, like a cereal box. If you want to, you could open up your cereal box and color on the inside part, or heck, you could even color on the outside part, depending on what you want your art to look like. All right. You might want to have some paint and markers to decorate your paper. Scissors and hole punch and various things to cut your paper. You'll need some glue. You'll want to protect your table. You know what you're not going to need for this project? A degree in engineering. I'm glad Alexander Calder had that so he could figure all this out, but we're going to do our best. Now, for the process, you'll want to think about what you want to represent. You could do leaves and fruit like Alexander Calder did. Remember, with his 20 leaves and an apple? I was thinking, because it's kind of a cloudy day today when I'm recording this, I was thinking that I would make mine out of cloud and raindrops. Okay, so you'll want to start with cutting out your paper. So I have some raindrop shapes here. In fact, I have a whole lot of them. They're all the same size. I used a machine to cut those out. So if you choose to do raindrops and clouds at home, your raindrops will be different sizes. That'll be pretty cool. And I cut out a cloud. Can you tell that's a cloud? Kind of looks like a gray blob, but trust me, it's a cloud. But the thing is, it's not one piece of paper, it's two. I took 2 pieces of paper and put them together and then cut it out so they'd be just alike on both sides. All right, so I'm going to move my sticks out of the way. Oh, see, that's why we need table protection. Look, I got dirt on the table. Shh, don't tell anybody. Okay. So what I want to do first is to glue my 2 pieces of paper. You know, that's probably really hard to see because that paper is the same color as the table. So I'm going to put this piece of yellow paper here. I'm not using it for my design, but I'm using it so you can see better. There. Okay. So first thing I'm going to do is take my 2 clouds, right, making sure that they line up together. And I'm going to glue them together. I could put a piece of string between them, but I think I'm going to use the pipe cleaner so I get a wire effect. All right. So I'm going to use a glue stick because it's quick and easy. You might want to use a bottle of school glue. It's your call. And I'm going to put glue all over this. I want to be sure to go close to the edges so that it all sticks together. Put some in the middle. And then I'm going to put my wire right in the middle of it and put my second cloud on and match it up. And then I'm going to moosh it together. Again, I need to apologize. I don't have fancy nails. I'm not a fancy nail kind of lady. So you get to see my broken nails and all. All right. So now I have a cloud attached to a wire. Pretty exciting. I'm going to set that aside. And I'm going to put my raindrops together now. So if you cut out your raindrops by hand, or whatever shape you're going to use, try to put 2 pieces of paper together and then cut them out together. That way you'll have 2 pieces that are the same size and shape. Now I don't want all of my raindrops to hang at the same length. So with my pipe cleaner and my scissors, I'm going to cut some different lengths of pipe cleaner. So I have some options there. Again, I'm going to put a bunch of glue on this one, stick a pipe cleaner in it, and put another one on top, and moosh it down together. That is maybe not going to work real well. We'll find out. You know, when I make these craft videos, I always make a sample one to make sure that it'll work. Because I tell you what, I've done a lot of projects that you all will never see because they're not real great. But anyway, so sometimes they work and sometimes they don't. But I'm always making this one live. So we never quite know what we're going to get. I'm noticing that when I stick them together, they're not really lining up quite right. And sometimes the pipe cleaner is a little big. So I have 2 raindrops made with pipe cleaners. I think I'm going to make a couple of them with string, and we'll have a little experiment and see how they work. All right. So I'm going to get my string. This is, I don't know what kind of string this is. It's heavier than a sewing thread. And let's see. I'm going to cut this to a, I don't measure. That might be why I'm not a very good cook, because I don't really measure very well. I just sort of say, oh, okay, that much. That looks about right. But here's the trick that I'm going to teach you. If you use string, take your length of string, which I know is hard to see on this because everything's the same color. I'm going to take my length of string and I'm going to fold it in half. Okay, so you see there's a loop at this end and the ends at this end. All right, I'm going to put some glue down on my raindrop. And I'm going to put my 2 loose ends, my 2 separate ends, inside the raindrop. And then put my other raindrop on top, moosh it all down. So now I have a raindrop that is hanging from a loop. Can you see that okay? That will make it a little bit easier to hang on the stick when it's time. So again, I'm going to put glue on my raindrop. Blah. Try not to get the glue stick stuck. Loop my string in half. So I have a loop at this end and 2 ends at this end. Stick my 2 ends inside my raindrop. This is really hard to show because really all you can see is my hands, huh? Okay, stick my 2 strings inside my raindrop, put my other raindrop on top, moosh it all down. So now I have 2 raindrops on strings and 2 raindrops on pipe cleaners. Let's make a couple more. What do you say? So I'm going to get out some more raindrops. Oop, that one has a little whoops off the edge. That's okay. Before I put any glue on, I want to make sure that I have all the other pieces ready. So I'll cut my pipe cleaners so they are ready. And I will cut my string so that it is ready. Because what you don't want to do is get your glue on and then find out that you're not ready for it, and then the glue dries before you get there, or if you're like me, you drop something and then it gets in the glue, and oh my stars, I could tell you about all the disasters. All right. So I have my string folded in half. I'm going to hold on to that folded end. I'm going to stick some glue on here. Put my string down. Put my other raindrop on top. Moosh it together. Set it aside. Let's do another one with a pipe cleaner. What do you say? In fact, let's do 2 more with pipe cleaners. Putting the glue on. Putting the pipe cleaner in, putting the other piece on. You know what? We're going to take that pipe cleaner off the side because I think it might be tricky getting the pipe cleaner to come through this narrow part of the raindrop. And look, I can bend it. So if it hangs this way, the raindrop will still be going down like a raindrop. But with the wire, I can bend it so that it works a little better. Alrighty, let's do 1 more raindrop on a pipe cleaner. I'm going to use a great big full-length pipe cleaner for this one. Stick it in there, put the other raindrop on, moosh it down. So now I have 1, 2, 3, 4 raindrops on pipe cleaners, and 1, 2, 3 raindrops on strings, and a cloud on a pipe cleaner. Now comes the part where we need the engineering degree, because I'll be honest, this is the part that gets a little tricky. Now we're going to use our sticks, and you'll want to have, let's say, one longer stick, and by long I mean maybe for the size that I'm working with here, nothing more than 12 inches long, I think. A heavier stick for the top, and then some lighter sticks, some smaller sticks for the lower sections. So I've got this one, all right, it even has some little branches coming off. And let's go with that little guy. Nope, not that little one. Let's try this one. Again, the nice thing about sticks from nature is you can just break them and make them the size that you want. So, the reason that I wanted to put my raindrops on strings, I'm going to get all of these other guys out of the way so we can see better. The reason that I wanted to put some of my raindrops on strings is so that I could simply hang them from the stick. I think that will make it a little bit easier, because the tricky part for making a mobile is to make sure that it hangs nicely, not all crooked or twisted up, right? So I have these two sticks that will be my lower sticks, and this great big one that will be my top stick. So I'm going to take this small stick and put the stick through the string, and then I'm going to wrap the string around one time just to kind of make it loop, right? And I'm going to do that over here as well. I know this might not be really easy to see the way I'm recording this with the camera, above the table. After I get my mobile constructed, we're going to look at it from the side, which is how you'll be looking at it when you make your own. Okay. So now I've got 2 raindrops on this string. I'm going to set that aside. I've got another stick, and I have 2 or 3 raindrops on pipe cleaners. Now, the nice thing about using a pipe cleaner is you can just twist it around the stick. All right. Make it kind of go off in a different way. I'm going to put this one over here on this side. Let's see, I can make it so that the rain is coming down sideways. That happens sometimes in bad storms, doesn't it? I'm going to take advantage of these 2 little branches coming off the edge, and I'm going to wrap this raindrop around those. How about like that? Okay. So I have a small stick with 2 raindrops on strings, and I have, I'll get those over there. I have this medium stick with 3 raindrops on wire or pipe cleaner, and then I have this giant stick that I'm going to hang with a raindrop and a cloud. Now, parents, my approach to this kind of craft is to just kind of jump in and do it and see how it goes, which might work really well for your child. If your child's personality is more organized than mine, well, first of all, congratulations, you should be happy about that. But it might help to kind of draw it out, maybe make a sketch of what you want your finished product to look like. All right. I just kicked the camera, so I hope everything didn't shake too much. So now I have 3 sticks, and I need to figure out how to attach them. Mr. Calder used wire, or we're going to use pipe cleaner, to attach them, or we could use string. I will tell you, I used string for my practice ones earlier this week, and because of the very thin string that I'm using, it got pretty tangled up. Another thing that you can do, you see how the strings aren't really staying put on my stick? They keep trying to come off. A trick to take care of that is to use some school glue, all right, and glue the strings down. So for instance, here I have the string wrapped around 2 times, and I'm holding it tightly in place. And then I'm going to use just a little bit of glue just to tell that string to stay put. All right. And I'm going to do the same thing with the other string. I'm going to get that looped around. I know this is really thrilling to watch, isn't it? I'm going to get that looped around, and then I'm going to put a little bit of glue on there as well. All right, and I'm going to set this aside and let that dry. It probably won't be all the way dry yet, but I have a limited amount of time, so I'm going to keep going. All right, so I'm going to take this pipe cleaner and this medium branch that I just broke a little piece off of and loop it around, make it secure, and I'm going to, let's see, well that doesn't quite look right, does it? To have it hanging like that, that means an awful lot of things in one place. So I'm going to abandon that plan, and we're going to use string. Use string to attach this medium stick to the long stick. That way we can make sure that it's long enough to move independently. Now again, I have my long piece of string that I have looped, so I have the two ends. I'm going to tie a knot in that. Alrighty. And then I'm going to take my string and loop it around this stick, looping it through. Is that a slip knot, I think? Loop it through so that it will hang like that. And then I'm going to take this string and tie it around the big stick. What I'm not going to do is tie a real tight knot because, you know, I don't have a degree in engineering, so I don't know that this is going to be the right spot. I'll have to be able, this is an important thing. When you attach one stick to another using string, you have to be able to move the string around on each stick. So I have to be able to slide it a little this way and a little that way. Likewise, on the small stick, I have to be able to slide that string one way or the other so that I can get balance, right? Because I don't want it to be all crookedy. I have to get it just right. I'm going to cut one more piece of string so that I can attach my littlest stick, the one that I just used some glue on to make my raindrops stay put. And gonna put that together, tie a knot in it again. Like I said, I don't really measure a lot. I just kind of eyeball it, which is probably not the best way to teach. I'm aware of that. But you know the number one rule of making things with Miss Mary. There is no wrong way, and the right way is however you choose to do it. Okay, so I'm going to tie this around here. I am seriously making this up as I go. Okay, so I have one big stick, and attached to that big stick is a cloud and a raindrop. Also attached to this big stick is a medium stick with 1, 2, 3 raindrops. And also attached to this big stick is a small stick with 2 raindrops. I wonder what this will look like when I hang it up. I'm going to have to cut one more string, and that's the one to hang it from. Okay, so doing one more loop-de-de-doop with the string. I'm going to put that around the center of my main stick. And I'm going to say, all right, there we are. Now it's time to hang it up and see what happens. All right, everybody, so here we are outside, and as you can see, I don't have a degree in engineering. Mr. Calder probably, Mom and Dad Calder probably would have made me go to college like they did with Alexander. So I'm going to move my strings over a little bit, and that helped to make it balance, because you know the string doesn't have to be in the middle. What you want to do is make it balance evenly. This is the tiny string, or the tiny stick, you know, the one that I glued the strings on. I'm not so sure that worked real well. Let's try our medium stick over here. Notice here on the stick there's a little notch. I'm going to take advantage of that and make sure that my string is to the side of it in hopes that that will help it to hang straighter. Oh my goodness, what have I done? There we go. All right. And then this little baby string here. I don't know what I can do to make that better. Well, I just took off one of my raindrops. Oh my goodness. Well, this is a great example of what works and what doesn't, huh? We'll try that this way. Can you see what I'm doing? How I'm trying to loop it through? We'll take that around a couple more times. You might be able to see here where the stick is white. That's where the glue still hasn't quite dried yet. All right. Well, that one is just not going to hang straight. That's okay. You know what? Is it the greatest work of art ever created? No, it is not. But I did it all by myself, and parents, that's the part that's important. Your kid did it all by themselves. Hey, that's pretty cool. Might actually really rain on me. So I think it's time to go back inside and finish up. Bye. Well, now that we saw how cool that mobile looks when it's hanging, and we talked about how you have to wiggle it this way and that to make it balance, I bet you're wondering about books we have about Alexander Calder. Well, I've got good news and bad news. The bad news is we don't have books specifically about Alexander Calder and the work that he did, which is kind of disappointing. But I have great news for you. This work of art that I have a picture of, this 20 leaves and an apple, do you know what? You can go see it. Yes, you can. This is hanging at the Cincinnati Art Museum, so you can go and visit there and see that awesome work of art. All right. Thanks so much for joining me to make something today. It was kind of an adventure, huh? Figuring out what works and what doesn't. All right. I'll see you all next time. Thanks, everybody. Bye.